So you need to understand who you're speaking to, what the need is, where they are, and how you can address it. Every single one of us makes purchasing decisions based on psychology. Break even is the number that you reach when you have sold enough product to cover your costs fully, and everything that you sell thereafter becomes your profit. Do you know that sometimes the customer borrows your confidence? Sometimes they're not actually sure about the product or the service or if they want to buy today. But because you are so confident, they feel like, you know what? Good morning, everybody. How are you, monetizers? Are you good? I wish somebody could introduce me like this every morning when I wake up. I know I'll have a good day. I am so excited for today. You know, we've been wanting to come to Hammanskraal for such a long time. And now we are finally here. Let me tell you, there are people fighting for you guys in the background. They're like, no, you have to come here. And I can see why. There are fantastic entrepreneurs here, and I really can't wait for us to really connect with each other today. Today, we are talking all about pricing for profit. Your pricing it's a tough conversation, ne? We find that with a lot of the entrepreneurs that we talk to, pricing is always a conversation that comes up. I think it's an important conversation for us to have. And so I'm looking forward to us really unpacking it today. So guys, are you ready to monetize? Turn to your neighbor and say, I'm ready to monetize. Fantastic, fantastic. I'm very, very excited. Welcome to those of you who are joining us on the live stream. If you know of any friends or family that could not be here today, tell them to go onto YouTube, look for Monetize Your Business, and they can join us in the room online. All right. So why is this an important conversation for us to have? And let me just be clear about something. This is a two-way masterclass conversation. We've got a roaming mic. If I talk about something and you think to yourself, Manheti, go deeper. Let's unpack this a little bit more. Don't be afraid. Lift up your hands, ask a question, contribute, share your experience, because this is our time together, okay? So it's not just you listening to me. Maybe you've got an experience that you can share that can also benefit everybody else as well. So this is our time together, all right? So this is a very, very important conversation. And the reason why it's an important conversation is that sometimes we get entrepreneurs that come and say, yo, Hetty, you know what? I started my business, and because I didn't have any customers and I wanted to grow and I wanted to gain visibility, I started by underpricing. But I thought, you know what, it's fine, because the more people hear about my business, it will grow. And once I've built that credibility over time, I can then increase my pricing. But now I want to increase it and my customers are complaining. How? But to take 2 rand 50 manje 5 rand to Pumapi. And then it becomes so difficult for me to then increase my pricing. How many of you have experienced that? Just with a show of hands, how many of you are struggling to increase your pricing from what it is now? Exactly. There's quite a number of us. So you're definitely not alone. This is a common problem that we face as entrepreneurs that we're definitely going to address today. Others say, Hetty, you know what? I am offering a premium service. I'm going above and beyond. I am doing more than anybody else is doing in this industry of what I am serving. So therefore, yes, my price is a little bit higher, but people are getting good value for what I am charging them. How then do I work this out? Because people keep asking for discount. They keep asking me, why am I charging this amount? They're even wondering, who do I think I am? So what do I do then? So we are also going to unpack that as well. if you are offering a premium service or premium product, how do you price in a way that attracts the right customer? Because sometimes the problem is not the product, it's not the service, it's who you're marketing to, or it's who is being drawn to your business. So sometimes we need a change of environment, sometimes we need a change of messaging, but we do definitely need to unpack. And then others are like, now I'm just starting out. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. Should I give it the price I think it's worth? Should I copy what everybody else is pricing because that's what's already in the marketplace? I don't know. So no matter where you fall in these different categories, we want to address these challenges today because pricing is a big part of our business. If we don't price correctly, what ends up happening is that we lose money. And you know, there's nothing worse than people buying. People are buying. I want to buy a Tenga. You can see, okay, my product is moving, but where's the money? I don't see it. As soon as it comes in, it's going out to expenses, and whatever is left is so little. And often at times, it means that you have a pricing problem. So pricing for profit is an important conversation that we are going to unpack today. So the first thing we're going to do in our process of unpacking, this is point number one. It is very, very important for us to understand the value of our product and our service. The value. And the value of the product or the service is not what you think it is. It is what other people think it is. You know, I had a lady who came to me and she said, "Yo, Hetty, I'm looking to sell this particular product. I go to Chinatown, I stock it for 50 Rand, so I want to sell it for 80 Rand and then I make 30 Rand profit." I said, "Okay, cool, that's perfect. How much are other people charging for this same thing?" "Your people are paying a lot of money for this." "How much?" 200. So you see, so why are you charging 80 Rand? Yes, it is a profit, but why are you charging 80 Rand if everybody else is charging 200 and above? Well, do you know people don't know how cheap this thing is, so they're willing to pay that amount. So in this particular instance, this person did not understand the value of the product or the service. They understood how much they are paying their supplier to get it, or how much they are spending to make the product or the service. That is completely different to how much the market perceives that item to be. How much your potential customer is willing to pay for that thing. So it's important for us to understand how much are people willing to pay for that thing. Because if she enters the market selling it at 80 Rand, you know they're going to say, Hong Kong, why 80? When everybody else is selling it at 200. So sometimes where we think we're going to have an advantage, they're going to buy, it's 80, it's cheaper than what they normally buy. Actually, people then become suspicious. If you go into a shop and they tell you they're selling Louis Vuitton and all of a sudden it's 90% off, aren't you going to be suspicious? Guti, is this the real Louis Vuitton? Because there is a perceived value in your head of how much that particular item should cost. And that perceived value has got nothing to do with how much it costs to actually produce a Louis Vuitton bag. Are we together? So it is very important for us to understand what is the perceived value in people's head for this sunglasses, for this wig, for this makeup, for this computer solution, whatever it is that you are offering, the perceived value. How do you find out the perceived value? You ask. You ask. Sometimes we are afraid to do research All of us, we've got friends, we've got family, we've got WhatsApp groups, we've got all of these things. Instead of forwarding our memes from Brother Enigma, ask them, guys, how much would you be willing to pay for XYZ? Masiben serious ngama business way to please. Sit busy, Brother Enigma, when we need to actually be growing our businesses. All right. So please ask around, because that gives you an idea of how much people are willing to pay. Then you begin to ask yourself, okay, what they are willing to pay, can I be able to bring this to the market within that range? That makes it a lot easier. The other thing that you need to be able to do is you need to be able to tell people about the value of the product or the service that you are selling. Do not believe this myth that the product is great, it will sell itself. Nothing sells itself. Nothing sells itself. You sell your product. You sell your service. You sell your knowledge. Nothing sells itself. You don't just say, no, I'm going to put the shoes on the table. If they like, they'll buy. If they don't like, they won't buy. Have you told them that these are the most comfortable running shoes that they will get? Have you told them that the soles are aerodynamic and whatever? Have you done that? Pella, you're not Nike. I don't understand why you think our things are going to sell themselves. Are you Nike? Are you Raymond Ackerman? Are you Checkers? So why can't we sell and explain the value of what it is that we are selling? But in order to do so, we need to build confidence in being able to sell our product. Sometimes we don't have a pricing issue. Let's be honest. Sometimes we have a confidence issue. You don't know how to sell what it is that you're putting to the table. You don't know how to explain to people the amount of work that has gone into what you are offering. You don't know how to tell people how much value it is that they are getting for what they are paying for. And if you don't tell them, how are they going to know? That means when you cannot tell us the value of what you are offering, all we have to go on is price. Because you haven't given us anything else to make our judgment on. But if you tell us, you know what, you get A, B, C, and if you've got issues with it, you can bring it back, we can fix this, we can do this, this is what our return policy is, and all of those things. A person feels like, you know what, this one is a little bit more expensive, but I feel more comfortable buying here than buying there. Remember, when people are buying anything, they shop around. In the same way, you also shop around. If you are looking to buy something new, you don't just go to the first shop that you come across or the first Instagram page that you come across. You shop around and you look around. You send different inquiries. Some people respond, other people don't respond. Some will say, yes, I've got this available, this is the price. Others will say, yes, I've got this available, this is the price. Maybe you've got more questions to ask, you ask them. And depending on how they respond to you, depending on how they help you, you then decide who you're going to buy from. Am I right? All of you have experienced that, right? Your customer is doing the same thing. Your customer is doing the exact same thing that you do when you are buying products and services. So you want to give them as much information as possible. You want to build a relationship with them as quickly as possible so that they feel comfortable parting with their hard-earned money and giving it to you. Sometimes, you know what, people will actually use your service even though it's a little bit more simply because they like you. Simply because they like you. They like your energy, you were friendly, you went out of your way, and because of that, they use your service. and they keep coming back and telling other people about you. So in as much as we are talking about pricing, there are so many other factors around pricing that affect our pricing. So this is very, very important for you to be aware of. The next thing that we need to really take into consideration, and this is now going back to basics. 1 + 1 is 2. This is going back to basics. Understanding your cost and understanding your break even. This is my cost to stock. This is my cost to create my product. This is my cost to give my service. This is my cost to share my knowledge. And then this is the amount where I've covered my cost and I am now making profit. All right. Now, when we are looking at cost, there are certain mistakes that we make as entrepreneurs, and we make these mistakes often. We just look at the cost of the raw material. We look at the cost of making the product, how much we're getting it from the supplier, etc. But you don't look at the cost of your time. You don't look at the cost of your electricity. You don't look at the cost of your packaging. You don't look at the cost of your delivery. There are certain hidden costs that we do not always factor in. And because we do not factor them in, it eats into our profit. And when we don't factor those costs in, what then ends up happening? Can we get the roaming mic? Is that a hand that's up? Okay, let's get the roaming mic, please. When we don't factor in those costs, what ends up happening is you feel like see, the sales are coming in, I'm busy, we're packaging all these things, we are growing, the roaming mic can go that side, we are packaging all these things, we are busy, but I'm tired, man, and I don't see where this money is going. It is because where you thought you are going to make 5 Rand per product as profit, there's now 50 cents that's going to transport, another 50 cents that's going to electricity, another 50 cents that's going to so-and-so that you didn't think about. And in the end, you are left with 1.50 Rand instead of 5 Rand. It no longer feels like it's worth it. It no longer feels like it's worth it. You feel like you're working hard, but you're working hard for nothing. And sometimes it makes you even begrudge your own business. Even when orders come in, you're like, because you know you're going to put in a lot of effort, but for very, very limited rewards. So it is very, very important for us to be able to understand our cost and our breakdown. Consider all factors when you come to your pricing. We have a question that side.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Nehabe from Ria Web Naturals. Sorry for disturbing you, but immediately when you started with very important aspects that I was looking to write it down. Where you say, when we price, we don't consider factors when you can just list them the way you said. How much did I stock? How much am I cost to prepare my product?
Yes.
How much? I just want that list.
Oh, okay, got you. So when you are considering the cost of your product or your service, you want to consider a number of things. How much did I buy the product from my supplier? If you are getting products from your supplier, you want to write it down. This is how much I got this from my supplier. This is how much I got it from that supplier, if you've got more than one. You also want to ask yourself, if you are making your product yourself from scratch, maybe you're baking or you are creating something, what is the cost of your raw materials, your ingredients, and all of those things. You want to consider that. Now, another thing that we often don't think about is things like the cost of packaging. So you've made the product, you've bought the product, but there's certain products you cannot just give to somebody just like that. It needs to be in a box, it needs to be in a container, it needs to be in a gift bag, it needs to be in some kind of packaging. You need to consider the cost of your packaging. You also need to consider the cost of transport. If you are going to your supplier every single time to go and collect the bulk of your product, you are spending money to go to that particular supplier. You need to consider that, all right? You also need to consider the cost of electricity. Some of you are in businesses that use a lot of electricity, whether it's baking, whether it's making body butters and all of these things, you are using electricity. So everything that goes into the making of your product, you need to consider. Because you're going to pay for those things, whether you add it in your cost or not. You're going to pay for your electricity. You're going to pay for your transport. You're going to pay for your packaging. You might say to yourself, I want to be the cheapest on the market. That's fine, but you will pay for it. So it is important for you to consider those elements because that goes into your cost. Any small little thing that goes into your cost, you need to consider it. All right. This is very, very important. So once you know what that number is, you are able to now divide it among the number of units that you are creating of that product. All right, so let's say, for example, you are making body butters. You're making 100 body butters. You know the cost from the supplier. You spent 100 Rand on transport. You then spent, let's say, 100 Rand on electricity. So you're going to take that 100 Rand and you will divide it among the 100 products that you have made. That means of your transportation cost, each bottle of body butter covers 10 Rand of it. Am I making sense? So that is bedded into the cost. The same happens for the electricity. If you do not do that, what will end up happening is you make your money that is left over. What is left over is not actually yours because you're still going to use that money to pay for these other things that you did not factor in. And then you also want to build some fat, right? For unexpected circumstances and scenarios. Maybe the taxi price goes up because petrol price has gone up. Maybe your supplier increases their pricing. I had a lady who imports shea butter and all these other things. And because of the Russia-Ukraine war, the cost of importing the raw materials went up. So imagine if your margin of profit is this small, what are you going to do? We are going to go to Riachamega, then your business has to close or something has to give. And you can't just increase your pricing so big like that. Build in a little bit of fat. It gives you a little bit of leeway. Also, when you have unexpected expenses that maybe you did not think about in the beginning, but now they've come in, you've got a little bit of wiggle room to say, you know what, I can shoulder this cost because I've put in enough fat. Am I making sense? So looking and breaking it down is important. Look, I'm not a numbers person. I don't want to lie to you. I'm a humanities person. I'm not a numbers person. And some of you might be scared of numbers just like me. But the truth is, numbers tell a story. Numbers tell a story. Show me your numbers, I can tell you if you're going to make money or not. So don't be afraid to sit down with the numbers. If you need help from somebody, call that friend or that malume or that makelwane and say, please, let's work out these numbers. Help me to make sure what I am seeing is the correct thing. If you've got a friend who studied accounting, let them do a favor for you, just to make sure that you've thought about it correctly. Another person that you trust might say, hi, but did you think about the cost of paraffin? Because remember, you use this, and that. Then you write it down. You understand? So it's important, get the necessary help that you need to be able to get it right. So your cost and your break even is important. Break even is the number that you reach when you have sold enough product to cover your costs fully, and everything that you sell thereafter becomes your profit. So you need to ask yourself, okay, every single month I want to make at least 5,000 Rand, or I want to make 10,000 Rand. How many bottles of product do I need to sell? How many customers do I need to service? How many places do I need to share my knowledge? And then we begin to work our way backwards. Okay, great. That means I need to increase my marketing. That means if I want to make this amount, I can't just tell 2 people about my business per week. I must tell 10 people about my business per week, or 20 people about my business per week, so that I can reach those numbers. Numbers are king, or in some of our cases, queen. Numbers are important. Don't be afraid of them. Mina, I set goals in my business. If I'm trying to reach a particular target, I will write on the wall, I need to call 20 people this week. I need to send 15 emails. Don't be afraid of numbers. It allows you to tick off. And don't be afraid of rejection either. Be bulletproof, man. You're from Hammanskraal. Be bulletproof. Yeah? People must know where you come from. Be bulletproof. If they say no, you continue. A no is one step closer to your yes. So don't be afraid of going through the numbers. Today, set a number for yourself. How many new people are you going to meet today in this room? You don't even know who's sitting next to you, who's in front of you, who's behind you. They can be your next customer. They can be your next supporter. They can be your next collaborator. We are sitting here thinking we are each other's competition. Just imagine. Is that right? Set goals for yourself. Let numbers work for you. All right. The next thing that we need to understand is your market. Do you have a question that side? Oh, okay, great. Let's go for it.
Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm Aslan by name, from Greenwood. So you made mention of when we do calculation based on what the cost, especially.
Yes.
Remember, this is a small-scale business, right?
Yes.
And I'm trying to produce this.
Yes.
There are those companies that will produce this, for instance, 20 Rand.
Yes.
The cost of production.
Yes.
Because all these your expenses have been added, right?
Yes.
Now I'm trying to produce it, and I'm spending like 30 Rand in production. How do I make profit? Because those guys, those big companies, they are selling this thing 28 Rand.
Yeah.
Already, the cost of production here, for me, is 30 Rand. Because
Yes.
I'm a small scale company, business, just growing. So how do I strive? How do I make profit? Only the cost alone, 30.
Yes.
Why those selling big company 28 Rand?
Yeah.
So that's a big problem.
Yes.
What do I do?
Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you very much. That is a very good question. You know, so economies of scale works in the sense that the more you buy of something, the cheaper it becomes. That's why there's certain places when you go, there's a wholesale price, and then there's price if you buy one-on-one. So wholesale then becomes cheaper. But if we are just starting out, sometimes we don't even have the money for that wholesale. The money is not there. And so bigger businesses tend to have a more competitive advantage than us. One of the things that I'm going to tell you is this. We need to be able to allow ourselves to see the different opportunities to get a product. If you've told yourself that the only way that I can sell this bottle is if I make it myself, you are going to struggle. Why? You may not have the machinery, you may not have the manpower, and you may not have the capital to produce those bottles, and therefore sell it at a lower price. Sometimes, what we need to do is we need to go back to basics and back to the ground and say, where can I stock it for cheaper? Part of your research is also looking to see, where are my competitors getting theirs? Where are they getting theirs? From which supplier are they getting theirs? So that you can be able to know how to go about it. Sometimes also, what we also need to do is to think to ourselves, how do I actually work with my competitors so that I understand the tricks of the trade before I branch out on my own? That's why you get people who are resellers of brands. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to create my own Morfire. You might not have the capital to create your own Morfire, but you can become a distributor of Morfire because it already exists, and you get your smaller nyana margin. And through being in that industry and being able to understand it and build your capital over time, you can then break away and create your own Morfire. Am I making sense? So there is the end goal and vision of what we want, and there is also where we are right now. And we must acknowledge that what can I do where I am right now with what I have right now? If it is costing you 30 Rand to make something and somebody else is selling it for 28 Rand, sometimes we put our pride aside and say, let me take the 28 Rand and sell it and accumulate my 2 Rands. Let me do that. Is 2 Rand nothing? How many people today receive 2 Rand for free? How many of you? You know, I read something very interesting, and it says that a millionaire appreciates the value of 1 Rand. The hardest person to negotiate with is a millionaire, because they know what it takes to make money. They don't just throw it away just like that. But for us, we see you anyeke bazothina abantu. Just imagine. What do you mean bazothina abantu? Imali. So sometimes let us start with our humble beginnings, and then we build our way up from there. This is something that I feel is very, very important. All right. The next thing I really want to mention, and if there are other questions, please don't be afraid, raise your hand. The roaming mic is still going around. It is important to understand your market and your competition. The people that are operating within your market. This is not so that you can copy them, no. Because hey, siyathanda ukopa. This is not because we want you to copy them. It is so that you can understand the environment that you are operating in and how you fit into that particular environment and how you are going to position yourself in the marketplace. You can now begin to ask yourself, in what is happening in this environment, what can I do better? What are my competitors doing that I feel that I can do better, that I feel that I can improve upon, that I can add in order to make the experience better? It also gives you an opportunity to listen to your customers for feedback. To listen to your customers for feedback. When you listen to your customers for feedback, it allows you to be able to give them what they want. One of the biggest challenges that big businesses face is that they're so big that they're no longer close to their customer. But for those of us who are small businesses, it's great because we are still close to our customer. And they are able to tell us what they want so that we can adapt our offering to suit what they want. This is very, very important. The second last thing I want to share with you today is the importance of the psychology of pricing. There is a psychology to pricing. Every single one of us makes purchasing decisions based on psychology. If you are hungry, it's not a good idea to go grocery shopping because you're going to put everything into your cart. Am I right? Because you are hungry, you're shopping. Thank you. You are shopping with an empty stomach. So you're going to put everything into your cart because you are hungry. If you go grocery shopping with a full stomach. You make better purchasing decisions. There is psychology to buying and selling. There is a difference if your product is 99 Rand or 100 Rand. That 1 Rand makes a difference. A person will be like, oh, this is so any cheap players, less than 100 Rand. It's just a 1 Rand difference. But there is a psychology to that. So please, when you are putting your pricing, also think about the psychology of it so that you're able to market that product or service in line with that psychology. For less than 100 Rand, you get A, B, C. That is a way to be able to put messaging across based on your pricing. You can also work on incremental pricing. So if you've got an event or you're doing something, you've got early bird tickets. You reward the people who buy earlier from you, and then you increase the pricing over time. So you need to think about the psychology of buying and selling. Sometimes grouping products together into packages works better because people get more value for their money. So what is the psychology that you are selling with, and what is the psychology that people are buying with? That is why there's certain industries that make so much money. Wedding industry, funeral industry, baby industry. Because people are at a season in their lives when they are using those services where they just want the best for themselves and for their loved ones. So they'll tell you, no. Your wedding will not be complete if you don't have the best videography. No, your wedding is not complete if you don't have the best photography. No, the venue is the most important thing, because if your venue is not right, then your wedding is a disaster. Can you see? So everything now all of a sudden becomes urgent, and before you know it, you are spending far more on it than you had even planned. We elevate the value of something. That is why a person dies once, Mara, they've got 10 funeral policies. Why is that? Because we've been told that funeral policies are so important and that insurance is important. So you have 10 policies, Marushwana Guy 1. Does it add up? And yet we don't have money whilst we are living. Does it make sense? So these are the things that go into the psychology of pricing. So please think about what are the things that my customer is thinking about and considering during this time, and how do I leverage that in my marketing and in my messaging to justify my pricing. Am I making sense? And then the final point that I'm going to make, and this is a common mistake that a lot of us entrepreneurs make, and it's something, honestly, sometimes this is a lifelong lesson. It's not that you learn it once and you get over it. We need to learn how to build confidence in our pricing. We need to learn how to build confidence in our pricing. If somebody asks you, Mara, why lento lena 50 rand? Are you able to respond and explain to them why it is 50 rand? Confidently, not with your head down, not feeling ashamed or shy, or not automatically offering a discount. Yeah, well, mama, it's 50 rand because A, B, C, D. This is how long it's going to last you. This is the quality of the product. You get this and you get that. Usually, most places you only get this. This is why you are paying this amount. Are you confident in how to respond when people want to negotiate with you? Have you set your parameters to say, I offer a discount under these circumstances. If you buy 2 or more products, then you get a discount. Sometimes when you're shopping online, you will see on the website, it will say, if you spend 500 rand, then your delivery is free. So they are incentivizing you to spend a minimum amount, and then by spending that minimum amount, they are now rewarding you with free delivery. That is their boundary that they have set for you in terms of how and in which circumstances they will give you a discount. Now where you must set those parameters in your business. A person cannot just get a discount simply because they're buying from you. Ngoba support the guys, come on. So building confidence is important. Learn negotiation skills. How do you negotiate with somebody who is trying to heckle with you? There's no need to just think on your feet. Practice. Practice with your partner. Practice with your spouse. Manihleli on the couch, you must say, baby, you know what, let's practice our negotiation skills so that when somebody wants to negotiate with me, I know how to respond. Do you know that sometimes the customer borrows your confidence? Sometimes they're not actually sure about the product or the service or if they want to buy today. But because you are so confident, they feel like, you know what, let me buy this thing. Confidence is very, very contagious. Very contagious. But in the same breath, when you are not confident, we've got a hand up over there, roaming mic. When you are not confident, people also then are like, they're not sure. I like what they're offering, but they don't seem sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this thing. Let me shop around a little bit more, and then maybe I will come back. So this is something we need to learn how to do, building confidence in our pricing. All right, let's go for the question.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Mrs. Sebo Mdage, and I'm from Shangila Holdings. I manufacture home fragrances. My question is with regards to confidence. So we had a pop-up store at Jubilee Mall for our product.
Yeah.
And that was part of our market research.
Yes.
But what we found out was the NSM in Hammanskraal may necessarily not be what the brand is about or the kind of communication that we were trying to project with regards to one pricing. But I remember one lady coming in and saying, your style intimidates us, right? Because it looks like you're too expensive, we can't reach you, the candles, everything that, you know, the setup itself.
Yeah.
Now, we understanding that what the brand stands for,
Yeah.
And we did a bit of international markets.
Yes.
Now, COVID hit, then you have to go back to the drawing board.
Yes.
Then you're back at home. So how do you, without hurting your brand
Yeah.
and without saying we are out of reach, because you can't be everything to everyone,
Yes.
but also just maintaining who you are, even if you are in Hammanskraal, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So how do you then work from your confidence to now what the client, and if they're not your client, you can't say you're not my client.
Yeah.
So how do you bridge that gap in the market?
Tell me something. When you were doing your international markets, how did it go?
It went very well.
Yeah.
My disadvantage was the premises that I worked from, being as Excel International closed.
Yes.
So
Okay.
every communication with whether China or with the US or whatever,
Yeah.
emails, everything was Sun International at the time, and the closure was like a month and abruptly out.
I see.
So we lost that, but obviously you recover, you go through, you lick your wounds,
Yeah.
and you go back, but you maintain the quality, you maintain who you are
Yeah.
as a brand and all of that. But we said, let's try the market at home. Internationally didn't go as planned, but now let's try go back to the basics and have a footprint within the communities. And so that little bit of you intimidating us was a little bit of a setback to say
Yes.
how we thought we get all kinds of people in Hammanskraal,
Yeah.
and ours will come forth. But we thought pushing your brand down to try and accommodate,
Yes.
because you then get a client in Cape Town who appreciates it, client in Joburg who
Yes.
appreciates it. So how do you bridge the gap without making people feel intimidated?
Okay, great. That's a very good question. So when we talk about confidence, I want us to also build the confidence to be able to expand outside of where we are. Because we can be from Hammanskraal and our business can go to the world. It does not mean that if your business is in Hammanskraal, it must live and die in Hammanskraal. Yes, you can have clients that are here. There's absolutely nothing wrong. But we are now living in a globalized world whereby you can be based here, but the majority of your clients are in Cape Town, or they're in Durban, or they're in Joburg, or wherever else, even abroad. It is possible. So the first thing that you need to be able to establish is, who is my customer? Who am I making this product for? You're talking about candles and you are talking about home fragrances, all right? So you need to write it down. Who is my ideal customer? Are they male? Are they female? What is their age demographic? What is their income? Where are they located? Just write it down indiscriminately. Who are the types of people that appreciate what it is that I am offering? And who can also afford it? A high school student might love candles, but they can't afford it. They're not your customer. So they must be able to fulfill two things. Number one, they must be able to see the value in what you are offering. And number two, they must be able to afford what you are offering. Once you've got that information down, now you need to determine, where do I find this person? Where do I find this person? Maybe some of them are here in Hammanskraal, certain areas of Hammanskraal, they may be there. Then you focus on that area. Some of them might be in Pretoria. Some of them might be in Joburg. Just last night, we went to a night market and there were different people selling different things, food, all kinds of different stores. And I saw quite a number of people at the stand that was selling candles. And I remember commenting and saying, you know what, these night markets, if you sell candles, you can't go wrong. Your customer was there when I said Jubilee Mall. Do you hear what I'm saying, my sister? So it is important for us to know who our customer is, where our customer is, and then we go to our customer. Because they're not going to fall on our windscreen. If you know that your customer loves online shopping and they love convenience, maybe your product needs to be on Takealot. Maybe you need to open your own e-commerce Maybe you need to be on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe you need to sell on an Instagram shop. Maybe you need to go to different shops in the mall and see if you can get shelf space. Do you get what I'm saying? When you do that, it shows that you've understood who your customer is, and now you are bringing your product to them. Because they will never come to you. They will never come to you. We always go to the customer. So even when you look at the South African landscape, there are different demographics and different groups of people you target, right? I'll use my final example before closing off the masterclass. If we haven't answered a question, don't worry. We are going to have a fireside chat with our guest expert, and we will continue our Q&A and get some more specialist insights from her as well. My final example to you is this. Imagine a white t-shirt. You want to buy a white t-shirt. We all know a white t-shirt. It's nice, it's plain, it's white. You can go to Mr. Price and buy a white t-shirt. When you go to Mr. Price, you are buying affordability and you are buying convenience. Maybe the white t-shirt is 40 Rand, cheap and cheerful, you buy it, you go, you continue your day. Then there's another person who's also wanting to buy a white t-shirt, but then they go to Ralph Lauren. And instead of spending 40 Rand, they're spending 4,000 Rand on their t-shirt. Both of them are white t-shirts. Both of them come on your body, they serve the same purpose. But one of them has got that horse. I need to say, it's got that horse. So when it's got that horse, when they enter into a room, what is it communicating? I've made it. I can afford. This is Ralph Lauren. On the surface, it looks like they've both bought a white t-shirt, but they haven't. Somebody else has bought status. They've bought recognition. They've bought respect. Both of them are in the same country. Both of them have a need for a white t-shirt, but what that need is addressing is two different things. So you need to understand who you're speaking to, what the need is, where they are, and how you can address it. Mr. Price is in business and it's thriving. It understands its demographic. Ralph Lauren is in business, it's thriving. It understands its demographic. Nobody has got the best or the worst type of customer. Customers are customers, but they've understood how to speak to their specific customer. So when you went to Jubilee Mall, you thought, oh, it's a mall, let me go, but your customer was not there. All right. Okay, we are over time. I've gone through this with the confidence we're speaking about because I will ask for forgiveness and not permission. You see how that works? All right, so this brings us to the end of this masterclass. I will be back later on with Michelle Expert. I can't wait for you to meet her. She's absolutely phenomenal. She's actually a global sales strategist. So when it comes to sales and pricing, she's the best person for us to unpack this conversation with. So keep your questions and we will continue a little bit later on. Thank you so much, everybody.